nervous about?
No.
There's nothing to be nervous about. Look, God's got this.
Yeah.
If it weren't meant for us to be doing this, it wouldn't be so hard.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, The Jardin. Today we're just going to kind of talk about how this all came about and what the meaning and what our purpose here for this podcast is. So I'm joined with my husband Brad, and we're just going to kind of share how this came about.
Okay, well, go for it and tell them how we're going to start and stuff, and tell them, it's kind of going to be like, everyday life type situations and what we've been through and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the podcast idea kind of came about. I quit my job a while back and was trying to think of something else I could do while staying at home with our kids. And I just thought of the gifts that I have are behind photography and videography, and the idea of a podcast just kind of came into mind and hasn't left since. So I knew it was something that we were meant to do. So, because I really, I don't like to hear myself talk. I just never really thought, there's so many other podcasts. I just thought, what would we bring that's different? But I just think that with everything that has happened, that this is truly meant to be.
Yeah, I do too. Especially, we've been trying for several months now to get this started. Mm-hmm. And it's just, with having kids, it's just that much more of a challenge, and, you have to get somebody to help you be able to take care of the kids for you long enough to be able to, record this. Mm-hmm. And then it's just also every single weekend that we've been trying to do this, it seems like something's been coming up and putting us off, or either one of us are sick. It's just got put off for several months every weekend. So we know that's the enemy that's trying to keep us from doing that. So I really think that it's, this is meant, we're supposed to do this.
Yeah, and if you go back, I think right after I had Della, our first daughter, I really wanted to open a baby boutique, for baby clothes, but I wanted an actual store. I didn't want to do it online, and it was just, doors didn't open for that, and it wasn't meant to be. But I already knew what I was going to name the baby store. I had it all planned out, and the name, The Jardin, was just that's just meant to be. I just love that name. The garden, it's the garden in French, and our first daughter that we lost, Madeline, that's a French name, Madeline, and her thing is butterflies, and butterflies are always in a garden, and
so I think it's also good to just during this podcast it to represent not only what we can offer to share, even though we're not that old of people, but hopefully we have enough wisdom already that we can go ahead and be able to share some wisdom. We can be able to have our kids, even Madeline that passed away. We can have everybody, involved in this, and y'all probably even eventually you'll hear all about us talk about our kids and everything. So this is all full circle thing. Yeah. We want to have it very family oriented, and for God to be number one behind it.
Yeah. And the gardens in the Bible is another thing I started thinking of. The main gardens in the Bible are the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Gethsemane,
yeah,
and the Garden of Golgotha, and those are the first ones that I thought of. And when I think of those, what do they all have in common? And it's just that they have really, really high highs and really, really low lows. The Garden of Eden was perfect in every way, and Adam and Eve were living there, and then sin came, and it just became this place of darkness, and that's
and
kind of
sin can really bring you down.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's why it's so important to, I really think, to try to keep God as close as possible to you, because of, you can sin just a little, and then next thing you know, it will just get more and more and more, and sin will build so quick on you that it will just suffocate you, and then, so I think during this podcast we will open up and we'll tell, a lot of things.
Yeah, because I think in life right now, like, everybody's so social media influenced, and nobody shares their lows on there.
Everybody always has a phone in their hand.
Yeah. And all you see is a highlight reel of the good things in somebody's life, which I get. Nobody wants to share the bad things.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Everybody wants to. Alright, so you can understand, like, I'm a hunter. Like, I've always hunted my whole life. And so, like, whenever you go hunting, you want to kill a big trophy deer, something like that. The first thing you do afterwards, you want to take a picture with it. You want to get, like, that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
But if you never nobody wants to share, like,
the one they missed,
all the hard work that you had to put in to achieve that, or the one that you missed, or nobody, that's the lows. Like, nobody wants to share that on Facebook or Instagram. They want to share just the trophy of it.
But I feel like the lows make you relatable, and
it makes you just realize,
everybody's I'm
human. Like, you're gonna fall, you're gonna make mistakes. Like, the best thing you can do is just stay focused on God. Pick yourself up, keep moving forward. God's got this.
Yeah.
And but I really think this will be a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll see where God takes us on this.
I'm excited about it. So we just kind of wanted to just share, what this is going to be about, and just share that we're starting a podcast.
So just stay with us, and you'll get to see everyday life of what we do and what we go through, and see what everything is.
Yeah, and so I think last thing to share was just kind of gardens. Like, I think the theme around the name of the podcast, and like I said, relates to the Bible, and then, like, just a regular garden, like out in our front yard, like all the things you can find in it. You find growth, I mean, like literal growth and spiritual growth, and it's just like a good place. I think it's good to pray while you just have time out there. It's so quiet and serene. It's just a good place to pray.
Yeah, and that goes with just everything in everyday life. Like, while you're working, like, you'll end up, your mind will constantly be running and thinking, about all kind of scenarios in life. Yeah. And so you'll catch yourself sitting thinking about, like, what can I do to solve this? And you'll come to a wall to where you're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't figure this out. Answer is, turn to God and start praying.
Yeah, talk to God about it.
Like you'll find out, like, He'll end up being your best friend, like, if you'll really just open up and let Him. And so,
I think that's some of our, where we spend a lot of our quality time with us and the kids is, working in the garden. So I feel like it's a sense of community too, and, just...
Yeah, and on the farm, like, with the kids, they love the farm, love every animal. So, that's very good to have it all family oriented.
Yeah, so I think that's just kind of what it'll be based around.
Now you got a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be, I guess, sharing with everybody.
Yeah. Well, we're excited.
Yeah. Well, until next time.
Until next time. See ya.